As the movie story opens, we see a man. He was fairly rich and a scientist as well. He tells everyone that the population of the world has increased. And it will expand more after this. We will lose this world if it becomes overpopulated. Human beings alone are to blame for this. Humans in this world are like cancer. After some time, we're depicted that the scientist was fleeing. And few agents were chasing him. Meanwhile, the voice of the scientist was heard, "You should blast the chemical that I've made. Because of this, half of the world's population will be ended. If you don't do this, the world will be ended in the 100 upcoming years. I've made this chemical Inferno to end up the world. In case something happens to me, I've left some clues for you." Later, the scientist climbs a top height placed while running. The agents also reaches there who were chasing him. He couldn't go anywhere from there, so he takes his life by jumping from there. In the next scene of the film, we see the whole city burning. Many people have worn masks, and half of the people have upside down faces. That means their face was on their backside. Later, a man opened his eyes in the hospital. His name was Professor Robert. After opening his eyes, Professor Robert has strange visions. Later, a lady doctor approaches him and tells him that a bullet has closely passed from you. Because of this, this is happening to you. All of your past memories have been lost, and you've forgotten everything. Here the lady doctor tells Robert that I attended many of your lectures when I was young. As we know, Robert was a professor, he'd written many books. Later a man approaches the lady doctor and informs her that a lady police officer wants to meet the professor. As the lady police officer enters in the hospital, she fires her gun at a man there. The lady doctor understands that she's come to kill the professor. That's why she takes the professor out from the back gate. She takes Robert to her home in the taxi. Robert was having strange visions there, with open eyes. He sees the whole city burnt, and a lady who has covered her face with a cloth. In this way, he sees many people who've worn the masks. It was the mask that is worn in illness. After coming home, the professor enters his email in the laptop of Lady Dr. Sienna, that he can recall and where a new email has been received. In which it was written, "I didn't come to meet you according to the plan. Now they're following me, and the item we've stolen is quite safe." Additionally, Paradise 25 was written at the end. But Robert didn't recall who this man could be who had mailed him. Later, Robert goes into the washroom to change his dress. After changing his dress, he finds a tube from his coat. Robert knew nothing about this tube. Dr. Sienna gets shocked when he shows her this tube. She asks, "Where did you get this tube? Do you know?" This tube belongs to the government, and it is a biotube, in which many dangerous items can be transported. She also tells Robert that a dangerous virus could be found in this tube. Because this could only be opened with a thumbprint. With the footprints of the person whom this is designed for. Now that Robert wants to open this, it can be opened properly by my thumbprint. And it might be designed for me. Dr. Sienna was preventing him since it might be virus infected. Robert didn't listen to her, and opens the tube. And there was another tube in that tube, that was made by human bone. When Robert shakes it, a laser light emerges from it. There was a picture in that laser when they projected it on the wall. This was the picture of the hell. This picture contained all that Robert had in his vision. As both of them keenly observe this picture, they find a name. It was the name of the professor who's taken his life at the beginning. Both of them have no knowledge about this scientist. They search about him and they come to know that this man has a mission he wanted: to eradicate half of the world's population. This man has mentioned an example of a plaque in his video. Both of them understand that he wanted to do something in the world that causes a dangerous disease to be spread in the world. As a result of a virus, half people will die. They understand that this has a connection with the virus. Later, there was an anagram in the picture that they've discovered. An anagram is something in which words are written in reversed form. That means no one can understand these common words. Later, when Dr. Sienna was looking from the window, police have also arrived there. Actually, they've called the police. When they see this police officer was none else but the lady police officer who'd tried to shoot Robert in hospital. They immediately flee from there. Now they were going into the car. Robert wasn't getting the meaning of that anagram. Later, Dr. Sienna tells him that these are Italian words which mean, "When you search, you'll discover." Later, Robert recalls that there is a museum in this city, in which there's a big painting. The painting they discovered last time, in which the map of hell was drawn. It means, if they want to find the virus, they have to go to the same museum. They'll surely figure out something from that painting. And they reached there when they were seeing that painting. Robert realizes something. Robert has a vision that someone injected him from behind while he was in the car. He believes the virus to be in his body. He tells Sienna about this and she says if the virus was in your body, it might have been transferred into my body till now. Here, whomever you're talking about, they haven't given you the virus yet. It means we can still discover the virus. Here, a lady approaches Robert and tells him that you visited here 2 days ago. He asks why I've come here before 2 days? She tells that you were observing a mask for a lot of time after arriving here. When 3 of them go to check, they don't find any mask there. As CCTV footage was checked, they come to know that Robert has stolen this mask with a man. Here, it reveals that this man was no one else but the one who's emailed Robert. He has said in the email that the item they'd stolen is safe. Everyone becomes shocked to see that Robert has stolen that mask. Later, the police arrive there, and Robert and Sienna flee from there. Later, we see a head of a senior organization. It was an organization that didn't work for the government. The scientist that we've seen at the beginning of the film, the one who wanted to eradicate half of the world's population. He'd given his tape recorder to this organization. He asked this organization to viral my video on the internet after a particular date. Actually, this organization serves these types of missions. As the head of this organization watches in this video, in which he watches the scientist telling them that I've spread the plaque virus in this world. Within some days, half of the world's population will be ended. And no one knows where this virus is? When the head of this organization hears this message, he became shocked because the date to viral this video was till tonight. It means this virus will spread in the world from tomorrow. Later, the head of the organization decides that he'll help the government to save this world. Later, we see Robert. He recalls the email he'd received, in which Paradise 25 was written at the end. The lady doctor with him, Sienna, knows about this place. Now they go to this place. They find the mask after reaching there, that was stolen from the museum. As they check the mask keenly from behind, there was something written there. It was the name of the places where this virus is kept. Before they could read this message more, an agent comes there. This agent was no one but the agent that we've seen at the start. He was chasing the scientist. He tells him I'm a member of WHO, but Robert didn't know him. This agent was trying to remind Robert about his past life. Meanwhile, Robert recalls that he was a lady here. The agent tells him that she was a doctor, and she is head of WHO. She wants to obtain this virus for the purpose of selling it to foreign agencies. The lady doctor about the agent was talking about, Robert knows her. Because Robert used to study with her once. They go with that agent, and on the way, Robert asks from the agent, do you know about the virus, that where this virus could be? The agent tells that according to the location, this virus should be in Venice, and 3 of them leave for Venice. This agent tells Robert that the scientist who invented this virus has taken his life in front of me. I've found a laser tube from his pocket. He later tells that we've come to you for help, but when Robert hears this, he recalls that this agent didn't come to him, but his friend has come to him. Robert understands that this agent is lying. Robert excuses about headache. They leave from there when the agent goes to get some water. According to the location, they come in a church. There have been people from all across the world. According to them, virus should be there. They discover that they are in the wrong location after receiving a police investigation. He tells Sienna that we're at the wrong location. She asks, is there no virus in this church? He claims, not just in this church, but also not in this city. We're at the wrong location. Later, they see the same agent was chasing them, from they'd fled after deceiving him. In order to escape from him, they come to a cave. Arriving in the cave, they find a way in which a net was placed. When Sienna goes upside, she unlocks the key after paying a woman. She closes the way when Robert reaches upside down. Robert was shocked. Why is Dr. Sienna doing this to him? Dr. Sienna informs him that the scientist's virus that we are searching for, he was actually my friend and he left clues for me so I could reach the virus. Dr. Sienna comes to know where the virus is, that's why she goes after blocking the way. Actually, the scientist left the hints so that if something happens to him, his followers, his friends could reach the virus, with the help of these clues, and spread this infection all over the world, and his strategy becomes successful. For finding the virus, Sienna goes from there. Robert was also trying to bring himself out of this cave. Meanwhile, the agent who was following Robert and Sienna comes there. He takes Robert from there with him. Robert here comes to know another thing. This agent wants to reach the virus because he could release it into the world. Because this agent was also included in the followers of that scientist. Before the agent could harm Robert, the head of the senior organization arrives there. He turns the agent over and kills him. He was the head of the same organization that doesn't work under any government. Robert inquires, "Who are you?" He asks him to consider me a helper. The head tells him that we've done everything, whatever is happening with you. Robert tells that I've lost my memory. The head tells Robert it was only the reaction of a chemical. We'd injected you and one of my agent had kidnapped you. The lady police officer who'd come in the hospital and killed a man in the hospital, these all were our companions. We want to catch you so we can solve the riddle of the virus. That scientist is well liked all throughout the world. Dr. Sienna, his friend, approached us when the scientist died. Because she knew that the scientist has hired us for a task. Actually, he has given us a video and asked us to release it on a particular date. His friend Dr. Sienna tells us that her friend is working on a chemical. That this is a dangerous virus that could end up the world. That time we didn't know anything about this virus, and we became ready to help her. Meanwhile, our one agent had approached you. She has a laser light that has the same painting of hell. We wanted to collect all the answers from you. For this reason, we kidnapped you. Because the password of that laser light was connected with your thumbprints. At the hospital, when Sienna helped you, you thought she wants to help you. But when she fled after taking you, we doubted her and we came to know about that virus. The head tells that for this reason, we want to take that virus with the government, so the infection cannot fall into the wrong hands. Meanwhile, the lady doctor who'd given laser light to Robert arrives. They hug each other, they were once fast friends. Now, they leave for that location of the virus. On the other side, Dr. Sienna is shown, who has reached that location. Going there, she approaches another follower of the scientist. He tells her that we have to explode the bombs where the virus is located. It will have all control from the mobile. The bomb will be blasted when we command it from the mobile. As a result, the virus will spread into the water. And the wish of our scientist will be fulfilled. As a result, the whole world will be ended. On the other side, Robert and his friends become aware of the virus's location. This virus was kept in a place where a musical program was going on. There were people from all around the world in the musical program. If the infection gets out there, it will spread out everywhere else with them. The head of WHO sells this location and sends the people from there out. The head of WHO searches this virus and finds as well. Sienna and her group arrive there before they can take the virus. The head of the organization kills a companion of Sienna. Meanwhile, Sienna arrives and kills the head, and she throws the bomb into the water. Where the virus was, she had a mobile in her hand, and was telling Robert that the bomb will be blasted. Robert tries to make her understand, "Look. Sienna, don't do this, the world will be ended. You're doing this wrong," but Sienna thinks that she is helping people. She presses the mobile button, but luckily, there was no access of signal there and Sienna jumps into the water. She blasts the bomb and as a result, Sienna dies, but the virus hasn't spread into the water yet. Because it was stored in a container. And the head of WHO has the virus container in her hands. Meanwhile, a follower of the scientist attacks her. He was trying to open this container, but meanwhile, Robert comes there. He beats him, but meanwhile, police arrives and kills the man after firing. The head of WHO has stored the virus once again. In this way, they save the virus from spreading into the water. In the last scene of the film, the head of WHO takes the virus with her, there this virus will be completely destroyed. Robert goes to the museum from he'd stolen the mask. After keeping the mask there, he comes back. In this way, Robert and whose team has saved the world from the virus of the scientist from spreading. The film ends with this. Thank you for watching.